ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Welcome again, all those who are seen and unseen, to our weekly get together. Um, and as we explore our journey of transformation, awakening, growth, realizing how we are now coping with the changes that we see around us. So, began with the fear, etc., as we're all familiar with. Now we are reaching a state of accepting that change is inevitable. And change, there's a level of acceptance of also where we are at, but more importantly, also having a little bit more harmony with the changes that we are all now witnessing. So this energy that has risen has become now being expressed in protests and rightly so, demanding justice, is a very significant time. It's a very significant turning point because it is our consensual reality. It's when we put our when we become grounded in a commonality, that is the turning point. This is where you will find the shift happening. It can happen in a relationship between two people when they think they're on the same page. It moves in a certain direction. When they are all coming from different places, well, we all know where that goes. So we are now in a situation where there are activities which have just been really overlooked because it fed a particular lifestyle, which were unjust. And now the world has got to the stage, or certainly with all the protests around us, is getting to a point where it's now stating, well, you know what, the consensus can move. It's not just the victims that are actually protesting, but it's now those who are sympathizing with the plight of the victims. So empathy is starting to grow. Anger, of course, is there, but you can now see empathy, compassion, collectiveness, humanity begin to grow. So as we were looking at right from the words go on when the whole scam stuff started with the pandemic, as we've moved along with it, we've now recognized that this transformation can also be a great opportunity for all of us, for the greater good, for our good and greater good. And therefore, our meditations have been trying to achieve two objectives. One is to demonstrate that we have control of our health, our mental health, our emotional health, and our physical health as best as we can under the current circumstances. There are many people who are feeling extremely anxious, are worried about what they're seeing constantly on TV now, not just the fear of dying, but all to the virus, the unseen enemy. But now the streets are getting violent, protests are happening, looting is happening, and therefore, again, you can see how the narrative is emotionally charged and how that emotional charge will impact you. So, as we said last time, that I think one of the greatest acts of human sabotage is enacted by the mainstream media. And and over a period of time, perhaps we are a bit early in our thinking, but it will need to be held to account because it sells you the same story and it is constantly giving you the same story. And the story is emotionally charged. If you have any understanding of the mind, if you have any understanding of emotions and psychology, it is so obvious how emotions are induced just like Enoch Powell did many years ago, or Hitler did, or Idi Amin did, or Indira Gandhi did in this day and age. All of these individuals had a capacity to manipulate in people through emotional language, because it is out of emotion that we act, right? So it's either hunger that's going to make you act, or it's going to be emotion. And the emotion that normally makes us act is anger or compassion. Fear makes us act in one way, but anger and compassion allow us to go outwards. So we are now in the anger compassion state, and it is in balance. Yeah. So we see a bit of anger, we see a bit of compassion, we see both sides. Now the choice becomes, where do we stand? Because even one grain on the scale can make all the difference. So, in this moment where humanity and the world requires everyone to be truthful about their truth, if you don't agree with something, you don't agree with it. It doesn't matter who's pushing you that agenda. If you don't agree, if it doesn't feel right, it isn't right. Because the answers always come from within. People like myself and others, or anywhere else, when you read a bit of text, scripture, whatever you're into, if it speaks to you, it's really telling you to go in with a particular perspective, because the answer will be that. The answer is always within us. So we're moving from this victim stage, which was the fear stage in March. We are now moving into a stage of taking a little bit more control of ourselves, a little bit more control of this moment. So there are lots of things that are going on in the background. Some of them are completely unexpected. For example, um, the changes in the monarchy that are being presented at the moment, the change of power between what was considered to be a developed country like the USA. There are so many social, economic relationships, individual relationships, and international relationships that are currently going through a massive shift. That the end result, maybe 2 or 3 or 5 years down the line, but the end result is something that really is worth being true to yourself about. It really is worth it. It's worth it for you, and it's worth it for all those that are here afterwards. So, in our time, in our moment now, switch away from this negativity. It's got to make a choice. The choice has to be, I don't need any of this negativity. I'll stand with the truth. I will stand defending that which is unjust, but I will stand with that side which is constructive. And this is where anger becomes compassion. Same energy, we just shift it, we just transform it. And this is really what the essence of teachings of the Sikhs are. That you have, every individual is a vibration, it is vibrating in a particular frequencies or set of frequencies. We are no different from the entire creation. Our illusion, our illusion is that we are separate. Our illusion is that we feel we are individuals, fragile little things trying to desperately defend our little fragile ego. But this is an illusionary state, meaning it is a self created, or it's created through conditioning, but it's created. So you identify with your mind. So when you're asleep, when you go to sleep and you're not dreaming, what happens to all the relationships and the people that you love so much? They disappear. This is how quickly reality changes. The moment you fall asleep, all those that meant anything to you completely disappear. And then the moment you wake up, no, those relationships don't come back immediately. After a while, they begin to become more present. meaning that as you become more aware of your cognitive functioning, your ego state, as you identify with it, this is my brother, this is my partner, this is my this, my mama, the me, the I amness, as you identify with this, this is your illusion. This is my illusion. This is what we call worldview. This is what in Gurmat science is known as Homme. This is what Freud referred to as ego. However, Gurmat psychology cannot be, we can't use the same word to describe Homme and ego. Because there are two, the word Homme is a very technical word and it has lots and lots of different components in it, whereas the word ego is like a little bit fixed and doesn't really allow you to understand what it is. So, what am I saying? What I'm saying to you is that through meditation, we become more and more identified with our awareness. We step back from this, our ego state of mind. And in that common space, it's like lots of flames, maybe separate, but once they come together, the light is the same. Meaning it's like, of course, amplified, intensified, and more luminous, but reality is that all the flames are giving off the same light. So as we become more and more in tune, one with the Shabad, the sounds that we've been using, the mantra that we're using, as we become more and more in tune with that, as we become more and more in tune with ourselves, sooner or later we will go through certain stages. So, the word we've been working with, or the mantra we've been working with, is Soham. Now, it is pronounced in many other ways, but the reason we use the word Soham is because that's the kind of sound that the breath makes when you breathe in and out, the Sa sound and the Ha sound. And Soham, Hasa, the different variations of this, but it's basically the same sound. And it's a sound that is inherent with us. So let's call this our kind of natural frequency, okay? Whatever the sound is that's coming with your breath is an indication, it indicates your natural frequency. As we become more in tune with our natural frequency, so as we become more tuned by listening to the mantra, as we're doing the mantra, as we begin to become more aware of ourselves, our inner self, our antarmukt, our inner self, we realize that there are different stages that you will go through. There are kind of emotional stages, there'll be stuff that you'll see about yourself that along the way that you may not be very proud about, but it's okay. Existence works in duality, darkness and light. We have to accept ourselves for what it is. So we're moving towards acceptance. Acceptance. If the world is falling apart, it's falling apart. I can only play my role. Yeah. If the world is reconstructing itself, it's reconstructing itself. I can only play my role. Getting freaked out about it doesn't help you, doesn't help those around you. So, as we become more and more in tune with the Shabad, with the sound, as we begin to get inner, now there are a number of stages that I'm going to mention as some people are starting to report some of this. So, the first stage is that we silently recite Soham, Soham, listening to it and going kind of inner space. As we do this practice, you will find, or some people will find, that this practice becomes automatic. You hear the sound without intentionally having to repeat it, right? You'll become aware of it with your breath instantaneously, spontaneously, in moments when you don't expect. So this goes from jap to a japa, a jap, when it becomes kind of internalized and spontaneous. As we begin more and more into this space and realize that we are more in tune with and in harmony with what's around us. What do I mean by that? Is we realize that this moment that we have, it really is the only moment that you have. Where you invest it is up to you. That's your freedom. That's your free will, where you want to invest it. Under this particular paradigm I'm presenting to you. And there is an end date to all of us. And it is important to remember that end date. It's important to remember that we are mortal. It's important to remember that because that makes you grounded. It allows you to function from where you're really coming from. Those people who forget their mortality forget their actions and have no understanding of the consequences of their actions. So it's really important that we realize that mortality is in relation to the gift of your life. That's the other thing. If you think your life is a curse, again, it's the thinking. It's what you attach yourself to. If your thinking is attached to life is a curse, then your mortality will say, well, what's the point of living? If your thinking, your worldview sees the beauty of existence, just the beauty of existence, and focuses on that beauty of existence, life is a gift, then I want to make every moment count. So it really depends where you focus your mind. Now, if you are not aware of mental immunity to be cautious of what you let in here through your senses, then you can quite easily be influenced to look at the negative, like a lot of the humanity is. So why are people in the USA, why are people in Britain, why have such high numbers of deaths? Because we are not chronologically aged, as my brother Ravinder yesterday explained to me. But we are biologically aged. And why? Because we're stressed. The amount of stress we're in. So there is no panacea out there for stress apart from meditation. Meditation now has to be taken extremely seriously as a health intervention, but not just a health intervention to do with our mind and mental health, emotional health, and physical health. But more important, as we begin to recognize that we are part of this phenomenal unfolding, that there is an element of our own sovereignty and sacredness, what you'd call spirituality. Spirituality does not come from what we do. Spirituality is you, what you are, with an understanding of the responsibility that you have the ability to carry out. So if I feel I am not responsible, it's not my responsibility, then my ability to invest my time into anything that I feel I'm not responsible for diminishes. So by coming to this sovereignty, we also realize that we have this gift called life, and this gift called life has a responsibility with it. And the responsibility you can choose to exercise it or not. That's your choice. But in exercising it, that life becomes meaningful. Life becomes purposeful. Doesn't matter what you do, but life becomes purposeful. So we are moving from that very paranoid fear state, as you've seen the journey over the last few months. We are moving now towards an acceptance, but also an identity of ourselves, an identity that doesn't have a self, selfless identity. Selfless identity. Why doesn't it have a self? Is because it has recognized that it is part of the whole that is in a constant state of change. And two, every moment, whether it's every 3 times a week as we do, we go into this space of silence and stillness in which the mind doesn't exist, which we go behind the mind as defined from Gurmat therapy. So we become more conscious, we become more aware, and we go into a space, and it may be only for a moment, which is still and which is silent. And stillness and silence are the two most important ingredients from which healing begins. Alignment and healing. And once we get into the stillness and silence, our homeostasis, our biology, our mind, our emotions, everything is influenced. Our nervous system is influenced, our endocrine system is influenced, our blood, our heart rate, everything is influenced. That's how powerful this is. So it's really important that we recognize for ourselves, because we then have a motive to do it and do it for the right reason. So, through our process, we're moving into this space of sacredness, sovereignty. And as we go along, we will go through these 5 stages. Jap, the meditation, when we begin a jap, when this awareness becomes quite spontaneous. So we are kind of aware, we have more awareness, let me just say that. Then we get into a stage where we become a little bit detached. We become detached from the drama. We still realize what's happening, but we detach ourselves from the drama. We are mindful how emotionally engaged we get with these things, because that's where the damage is done. It's your emotional engagement. So it's important to recognize, to take that particular awareness and exercise it. And as we become more and more focused on our awareness, it helps us to become part of the whole, and that wholeness is recognition at some stage of the wonderful gift you have called life, and the wonderful magical thing called experience. Good or bad, experience is experience. Imagine sleeping for 100 years and never being able to experience. So experience doesn't last. Remember that. Experience doesn't last. You, as awareness, have that as a cascade of emotions, but it's how we engage with them and what it tells us and how we use it. So today's nutshell is basically that we have moved from that negative state and we are moving towards a sovereignty positive state. It's important to turn your back on all that is negative. Make the choice. Make that choice. It is your choice that will make the difference. It is my choice that will make the difference. And the first thing to choose is I cannot be part of that negativity. Don't want to be part of the negativity. Don't want to let anything negative in me, in myself. And two, I want to meditate not because it is great, it makes me feel good, but it allows me to access what I truly am. And what I truly am is moving towards this place of sacredness and sovereignty combined with an understanding of acceptance as a way of being able to let go. Yeah? Because we're all there now. So, anyway, enough of my chit chat today. So, let us go into our meditation. So, we begin with our intention. So, with meditation, 3 really important things: intention, attention, and attitude. So, intention is why am I doing this meditation? What do I wish to, where do I want to focus my awareness? So, the intention is always to know your present moment. That's all, that's enough. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to pray. You don't need to do anything. You simply need to be present. That's what the essence of now is: presence. And in that presence, everything happens. So the intention is to be present to my experience of life. Two, how am I going to do this? Attention. I'm going to focus on my breath, body to ground myself. And then I'm going to use the sound to go within myself. And then, as I am guided, I will look and acknowledge my experience and allow that experience to be something that I can verify for myself. It is my experience. We acknowledge it, it becomes part of us. And the attitude is don't take life too seriously. None of us are going to get out of this alive. So it's okay. No. So don't take it too seriously. Life is good. Life is fantastic. And next time we're here on Tuesday, we will share a yoga pose with you that is really important for this time and this age, because it helps us align the body a little bit as well. So my colleagues at the Flame Center will be looking at this. I'm sure Push will be looking at putting something together on that for everyone. It will be something of value. Okay, so close your eyes, close your mouth. If you find it difficult to breathe through your nose, of course, you can breathe through your mouth. Just shake your neck a little bit so it's a bit loose. Make sure your back is loose as well. See if there's anything aching. Any, yeah. Pull your shoulders back a little bit, quite intentionally. As you breathe in, bring your focus gently to your body. Body. Notice that you can only sense the body from within. You can't quite come out of your body and look at yourself. Well, maybe not yet. Bring your focus now to anything that's in your body that's dominant, like a sensation. So just scan your body. Imagine that you have a hula hoop over your head, and as it comes down, it scans your body very thoroughly, very slowly, starting from your head. You want to take a good note of what is going on with your body at this moment. Moving down, all the way down to the floor or wherever you're sitting. And notice if there's anything dominant. Now bring your focus to where you're sitting. Notice that your body is held in place, meaning wherever you're sitting, you're not going to go anywhere. You're fixed. In fact, your body right now is fixed in this moment. No matter how much you may wish to be anywhere else, you are fixed in this moment. The body is part and parcel of this moment. Notice the sensations where your body makes contact with the chair or the floor. Notice those sensations, allow them to come upwards so your awareness moves upwards towards your hips. Gently move it down to your thighs. From your knees, move it down to your feet. And then becoming aware of your feet as best as you can. Move your awareness back to the chair or the floor. As you breathe in, bring this awareness to the back, lower back first. Next breath in, middle back. Next breath in, shoulder blades. And from your shoulders, move this focus down to your elbows. From your elbows to your wrists. From your wrists to your fingers. And now come back to the palms of your hands. Bring your focus to the back of your neck. Pull your chin in. Notice the back stretching. Bring your focus to your eyes. Notice the darkness. Notice that you have awareness of that darkness. And this awareness, you can intentionally bring it to the back of your head. Allow your eyes to relax and soften. Bring your focus to your mouth. Allow your tongue to relax and soften. Top of roof of your mouth. Inside cheeks. Allow the jaw to relax. Relax your face. Now bring your focus as you breathe in back to the body. Again, notice anything dominant in the body. Now let's look at how we're feeling right now. So bring your focus to your chest. How do you feel in this moment, right now, right this moment? How does it feel? How do you feel? Do you feel settled? Do you feel unsettled? Does it feel pleasant? Does it feel unpleasant? Does it feel peaceful? Does it feel noisy, anxious, fearful? How do you feel in this moment? Is this moment enough? And as you breathe out, bring your focus back to the body again. So, again, sensing your body as a whole. Notice how your awareness is fixed to your body at this moment. On your next breath out, begin to follow this sound. Allowing your awareness to move beyond the body. Notice the stillness, notice the silence. Gently bring your focus back to your breath. Draw a slow, deep breath in and relax. Now hold your focus just beneath the nose as best as you can. When you find that your focus has been distracted by your thoughts, or my voice, or a sound, or a sensation, notice the distraction, come back to your breath. So your intention is to hold your focus just beneath your nose and to notice that there is a breath that comes in and there is a breath that goes out. Stay with your breath. Allow the breath to breathe by itself. Notice how the breath breathes by itself. There's no need to control it. Learning to let go. Follow your out breath all the way till the end. Stay with the breath. Now notice how you feel within yourself. If you feel in this moment a bit of calmness, then we will begin our mantra meditation. So remember, the sound is just simple so and hum. There's no special way to pronounce it at this stage. It is simply as best as you can. So the first stage is we draw a slow, deep breath in, and as the breath comes out, we repeat the sound so hum as far as the breath goes. So when you're ready, deep breath in. So follow the sound as far as you can. Once again. So and again. So now bring your focus back to your breath. Notice what's happening with your body, if anything. So now we move to the second stage. Once again, we're just using the same word, but this time we just whisper it to ourselves, and again, as long as the breath lasts. So when you're ready, deep breath in. And again. And once more. Now I'd like you to bring your focus to your breath and listen to it as best as you can. Listening to the in-breath as it comes in, as it goes out. See if you can recognize the sound that the breath makes as it comes in, sound that goes out. Listening to your breath. Now as the breath comes in, mentally say the sound so, and as the breath goes out, mentally say the sound hum. Follow the breath. And as you repeat so hum within yourself, listen to it. Listen to it. Notice where it begins. Notice where the sound begins and the sound ends. And now, as you are hearing and listening to your soul hum within yourself, begin to bring the volume down within yourself. See if you can change the volume, saying the sound so hum slower and less loudly, so to speak, yet listening to it. And as you do this, notice where your focus is going, listening to that so hum as you lowering the volume within yourself. Use the sound of the bell to move into a silent space from where we can still hear the pulse of this sound within us. Still listening, following the sound. And now, with this sound, see if you can merge yourself in the silence and the stillness, letting go of all that there is. Notice the silence. Notice that you have awareness of that silence, and you have awareness of that stillness. This is your true nature, sovereign, light, sacred, conscious flow. Acknowledge your experience as best as you can. Bring your focus back to yourself. Notice your body. So we bring this peace back to the world that we live in. Notice you can sense your sensations in your body where you contact with the floor or the chair. Notice that you can sense your legs all the way down to your feet. Your back is still straight. Shoulders, arms, hands are relaxed. Eyes are still closed. Mouth is still closed. Face is relaxed. Breath comes in. Breath goes out. Everything is exactly as it needs to be in this moment of now. As you breathe in, you can sense your body. As you breathe out, you can sense your body. When you hear the next bell, use this bell to draw some deep, long breaths in, and in your own good time, gently opening your eyes. Take your time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining in this moment of change, joy, and oneness in our diversity, and yet we are all unified in our presence. So thank you for joining us. Hope you can join us again. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki